A very good afternoon to you and many thanks for joining us on the KTN News Desk on this 21st day of June 2016. Always a pleasure to have you tuned in. A lot has been happening today and we have it all lined up for you. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. What next in the Tannoy tribunal? Fate of embattled former judge to be decided Thursday. Nairobi ODM Chairman George Aladwa summoned by police over suspicion of hate-mongering. And tension is high at the border of Kisumu and Nandi as one person is reported killed. Good afternoon. My name is Akisa Owandera. Now, the tribunal investigating former Supreme Court Judge Justice Philip Tannoy is yet to make a ruling on whether the hearing needs to continue with its sitting or not. Tannoy was relieved of his duties last week as it was ruled that he ought to have retired from the judiciary. Our reporter Michelle Ngele now joins us live from the Anniversary Towers with those updates.
The tribunal investigating the conduct of retired Supreme Court Judge Philip Tannoy has yet again adjourned its proceedings following an application by Tannoy's lead counsel for 2 days to peruse through the copies of the judge's decision of the Supreme Court on judges' retirement age. Tannoy's counsel says that they did not get a chance to go through all the copies of the judgments made at the Supreme Court. And although the chair of the tribunal, Sharad Rao, says the details of the judge's decision are not of importance to this tribunal, he says it would not be in the interest of justice and fairness to deny the tribunals or to deny Tannoy's lead counsel this opportunity to go through these papers. Of course, the bigger debate here being whether the tribunal still has the mandate to continue to probe the conduct of Philip Tannoy, who is now a private citizen. Constitutionally, the tribunal only has the mandate to probe the conduct of a sitting judge of the Supreme Court. There is, however, a small glimmer of hope that the tribunal might have to conclude the work that it began in light of the fact that the alleged bribery was allegedly done when Tannoy was a sitting judge of the Supreme Court. The tribunal will therefore reconvene at 10 a.m. on Thursday to go through the submissions of both lead counsel representing the tribunal and the lead counsel representing Philip Tannoy, after which the tribunal will come back with the final decision on the fate of the tribunal, which could very well be steering into a situation where the tribunal's mandate has been overtaken by events. And there is now a debate as to whether the bribery allegations will be forwarded to a different body, such as the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission or the Director of Public Prosecutions. Michelle Ngele from Anniversary Towers in Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And earlier on, she spoke exclusively to the chairman of the tribunal, Sharad Rao, about the latest developments on this case and the likelihood of the tribunal to wind up sooner than expected.
Ruling was that the judge has been asked to retire, or has been retired, rather, at the age of 70. So what impact does he have on the proceedings of the tribunal? On the basis of the appointment that His Excellency made, appointing the tribunal, and the mandate that he gave to the tribunal. So that's what we want the two counsel to be heard before we decide as to how to proceed. Not here to be an additional court on top of the Supreme Court to challenge the decision that they have made. So basically our interest is to see what is the impact of the final order. What the judges said is really not of interest to us. But if the council feel that it is something that they want to consider before they make submissions to us, it would be wrong for us to deny the judge that opportunity. Because as I indicated in the interview just a few minutes ago, that in the interest of fairness, in the interest of national justice, we should hear counsel before we decide whether we are functus officio or we are not functus officio. And if we are either of that, what should we be doing? Do we lay down our tools now, or what do we do? But in whatever we do, we still have to report to the president. Yeah, even if we down our tools, we have to go back to him to tell him that we did down our tools.
Right, and
Our mandate is, as per the Gazette notice, that we inquire into these allegations. And what is now before us is to consider, can we go further with our inquiry as to that particular matter if this judge is no longer a judge? And that's our mandate. It is not for us then to recommend whether the EACC or the DPP, for that matter, or anyone else should carry out any inquiries further or otherwise in relation to the judge.
Well, and away from that, the police have said they are treating 3 politicians as witnesses and not suspects in a case where ODM Nairobi chairman George Ladwa, Dagoretti North Member of Parliament Simba Arati, and former aide to court leader Raila Odinga Karoli Omondi have been accused of recruiting militia to topple the Jubilee government. The 3 denied knowing the university student who made the allegations and have said they appeared before the police at the Nairobi area police post as state witnesses against the student. The university student Wycliffe Ouma alleged that the 3 were acting proxies on behalf of Raila and were conducting the recruitment in South Sudan. Aladwa, Arati and Karoli were released after recording their statements.
Tuweke statements zetu kama wale tumetajwa, na ni wengi tumetajwa, sio mimi peke yangu, ni kama list ya watu kama 8. No, sio hate speech, ni tumeitwa tu kwa witnesses wa serikali katika hiyo kesi ya kijana.
Do you know the student?
No, mimi simjui kabisa na sijai kumuona na sijai communicate. Ni mambo tu pale ametoka na maneno sijui kwa sababu kama namjua tutakutana kotini aseme kama ananijua.
On invitation by the commander of Nairobi to come and make a statement. We were not clear as of that time what kind of statements they required to be made. But this morning we arrived. We have been informed by the Nairobi area investigation commander, Mr. Kamwende, that the 2 gentlemen are not suspects. They are indeed supposed to be witnesses in a matter that they are investigating against some young man who made certain false allegations, false, wild allegations. And therefore, we have, in a conversation, we have agreed that they will come to the various offices of the various persons. They want to be their witnesses, including Senator Mudhama, Mr. Ladwa, and Mr. Simba Arati. And I think there is Modi Karoli, who is also mentioned. They will be visited at different times to record statements as state witnesses.
1 person is feared dead and today several others injured in fresh cross-border clashes between Kisumu and Nandi residents. The fights erupted at Kopere near Songor on the Nandi-Kisumu border, where many people have been killed in the past in sporadic clashes over stock theft and political differences. Villagers said one of the suspected cattle rustlers had been killed, but the KTN crew could not independently confirm this as the police officers patrolling the area declined to speak to the media. Those invited from the Kisumu side said out of the 76 head of cattle allegedly stolen from a pastor, only 4 had been recovered by yesterday evening. Tension remained high with armed villagers preparing for a retaliatory attacks as police patrolled the area.
At 10:30 this morning, I received a call while I'd gone to Ahero that my herdsman and the herd had been attacked. So he raised alarm. The whole herd, composed of 76 cattle, all of them were taken. We recovered them, less 16, and then the community and the police helped to recover the other 12.
What I can ask the government is to aid us with the security, with the powers that they have been bestowed by the Constitution, so that we can be free from this attack.
Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was this morning expected to officially open the Secondary Schools Head Teachers Conference in Mombasa. Matiang'i opens the conference, which comes on the background of resistance from teachers' unions on the proposed code for ethics for teachers. Beg your pardon. Matiang'i was also expected to address the issue of school fees that has become a concern after several schools were cited for doubling their previous rates. Let us now join our coastal reporter Francis Ontomwa via phone to get more updates on what is happening at the conference. Thank you for joining us on News Desk, Francis. We understand that the teachers and their employer have signed a very important agreement this morning. Just keep us up to speed with that.
Well, good afternoon, Akisa. And yes, we are on the sidelines of the 41st edition of the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association meeting here at the Wild Waters. And actually, it has been quite a day of mixed outcomes, because earlier on there was that expectation that President Uhuru Kenyatta would be making his presence here at the Wild Waters. There was that long wait. Later, there were reports that the deputy president will come represent the president, but that was not to be. We've actually been at another meeting that I had CS Matiang'i with Kenya National Union of Teachers officials, and what was coming out is a CBA, or rather a collective bargaining agreement that was signed between TSC and the Kenya National Union of Teachers, and which now looks like it is an attempt to really offset some of these noises that have been emerging regarding the code of conduct that was actually unveiled yesterday by the Teacher Service Union. Basically, this CBA targets also to try and resolve the frequent industrial unrest that have characterized the teaching profession in the last many years, and it also tries to remove some of the uncertainties, that regard the terms and conditions of service for teachers. Well, it looks like a day of mixed signals, as I have indicated, Akisa, with on one hand TSC and KNUT announcing that they have achieved a truce, but also a bit of confusion here at the teachers' conference between some of the dignitaries that have been expected have not showed up, and it is expected that perhaps they could be coming to attend this particular meeting tomorrow.
Now, Francis, this particular agreement has been elusive for a very long time. I would really like to see to understand what kind of reaction we got there from the teachers after reaching a truce with their employer.
Well, at that particular press briefing, we had the Kenya National Union Kenya National Union of Teachers officials, the likes of Wilson Sosion, were in that particular press briefing, and they say that for the last 48 years, the teaching service has existed without a concrete CBA with, or rather binding CBA with the state, or rather the Teacher Service Commission, and they say that this one looks like they are now inching closer to really having that basis to now be negotiating their affairs, and they say that it provides a basis for future negotiations between the two parties. What this CBA also entails, rather, it helps to it resets the role of the SRC, the Salaries Commission, and to try and determine the remunerations payable to teachers in the public sector. And further, it also contains the terms and conditions for service for teachers. The Teacher Service Commission and the Kenya National Union of Teachers are calling it a win. But it is important to note at this particular juncture, Kisa, that we have not heard the voices of the other union, that is the Kenya Union of Post-Primary School Teachers, that is the KUPPET. That is another important, of course, stakeholder in this particular kind of talks, and we will want also to hear what they have to say regarding this particular CBA, Akisa.
All right, thank you very much, Francis, for giving us that update. We'll definitely be joining you later on for more, even as the conference continues. Francis Ontomwa there joining us from the coastal region, where he says the Teachers Service Commission and the teachers' unions have finally reached a truce by signing a collective bargaining agreement that has been waited for more than 40 years now. But moving on, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has to date recovered assets worth 9 billion shillings that were either acquired illegally or through looted taxpayers' cash. The assets are expected to rise as there are several civil cases pending in various courts, according to the anti-graft body. This emerged during a one-day 7th Leadership Forum held in Naivasha and organized by the Ethics and Integrity Institute and the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
So no, in terms of recoveries of assets, the value of assets may be land, liquid cash. To date, the Commission has recovered about 9 billion shillings. You know, and remember, recovery of assets is a civil process. So there are many more cases that are in court for recovery proceedings.
Now, an interesting thing that has gone on in Kenya that is not in any other African country is the issue of vetting by the legislature. And I think it's something that we need to celebrate. As to whether it's going the right direction or not, that's a different issue. But to the extent that we have decided that we need to vet people is a good thing. But who is vetting the vetter?
A business community, when we have such behavior exhibited in the society, like hate speeches, they tend to create a society that is not cohesive, and therefore it affects environment, the business environment, particularly if the demonstrations are mounted and the businesses are closed. There is an impact on return on investment.
Now to some business news. Residents of Kiamariga village in Nyeri County, have welcomed a move to set up a solar farm on a 134-acre piece of public land in the area. At least 800 members of the public attended a meeting to discuss the project and its social implications to the community at Kagati grounds yesterday. Nyeri County Governor Nderitu Gachagua presided over the meeting and announced that the county government had already identified 134 acres of land, which was going to be the location of the project. Gachagua noted that the county government would lease the land to the investor for 20 years and then the project would revert back to the local community. He said the law was clear that before undertaking any project on public land, members of the public must be consulted. The residents agreed to the project by a proclamation and agreed to sign a document voicing their support for the project. The project is expected to generate about 40 megawatts of power.
Tunampenda sana sababu ya maendeleo. Alitupatia mbadala ya watoto wetu walikuwa wanakaa nyumbani na tukafurahia sana. Kwa hivyo ndio tunakuja kumshika mkono alete maendeleo hapa Kagati, na wale watu wa Kagati wanalete fujo hapa wapeleke mafugo yao nyumbani kwao.
Sababu hiyo sora ikikuja, vijana wetu ndio wataandikwa na pia wasichana wetu waashe kuradarada huko kwa mtaa wapate kazi ya kufanya. So sisi hatutaki mtu yule hataki maendeleo aende kwao.
And this will be the first project in the whole of East and Central Africa of a 40 megawatt magnitude of the project. This will help a lot of local people. They are community oriented. This is a very unique project because we have a kind of a partnership with the county government of Nyeri, and this will be the first project in the whole of Kenya.
Mradi huu tukimaliza tutakuwa tunatengeneza 40 megawatts kuweka kwa national grid. Tumepanga na developers ile tutagawanya pesa, county government itakuwa inapata pesa kila mwezi. Ile ingine contractor anauza, lakini kwa muhimu sana tuko nafasi ya kupatia vijana wetu na wamama katika 2,000-3,000 jobs katika area hii, na tukitaka kusema tumemwambia na ataeleza kwa kifupi ati hiyo mradi ataifuata njia hiyo, watu wa hapa ndio watakuwa kwa mradi wa mbele kupata hiyo makazi.
All right, from Nyeri County, we'll now take a short break, but do not go too far. We still have a lot more lined up for you on the KTN News Desk. Well, we wrap it up on KTN Home. On that note, many thanks for joining us. But we continue with the bulletin on the other side on KTN News. Be sure to join me. My name is Akisa Ondera. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and keep it KTN News.